Hello, hello, and welcome to the Visionary Leaders Community Call, where you learn to be the healer in your home. My name is Aisha Harley, and I am one of the founding members of this community, and it is my pleasure to welcome you. Today, we are talking about blood sugar balance. Did you know that maintaining healthy blood sugar balance is key to maintaining your health and longevity? Did you know that the average person consumes between 17 and 22 tablespoons of sugar a day, which is one of the many factors driving the elevated blood sugar epidemic that is affecting millions of children and adults? Did you know that stress is another huge contributor and that low blood sugar can be equally as damaging as high blood sugar? On the call today, you will be hearing from Eliza Boné and how she struggled with blood sugar issues and the tools she has implemented into her life to find balance. We will also be hearing from Dr. Josie and personal tips from our greater Visionary Leaders community. So let's dive in. It is my pleasure to welcome Eliza Boné, who is joining us from Portland, Oregon. I'm going to hand it on over to you, Eliza.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Thank you all for inviting me to share my personal experience with blood sugar imbalances. And, there are a lot of different factors that can contribute to the onset of blood sugar dysregulation. However, in my case, I'm almost positive it was due to high cortisol levels and having that high cortisol for a very extended period of time. I want to just take a brief moment to explain the connection between trauma and stress with the likelihood of developing other lifelong health conditions. I'm a trauma survivor, and since childhood, I experienced severe anxiety, depression, PTSD. And as I grew, I had so many other health challenges as well, from fibroids to endometriosis, allergies, asthma, thyroid disorders, fibromyalgia, and the list just goes on and on. Because I had so many health problems, it took a while for them to detect that I had this blood sugar dysregulation. And I did some research, and according to the Center for Health Strategies, they found that when there is childhood traumatic stress and it goes untreated, the likelihood of individuals having other health conditions is very high. And so trauma contributes to not only anxiety and social isolation, but also to other chronic diseases like hypertension and diabetes and cancer and substance abuse. And there have been other studies that also correlate the link between childhood trauma and lifelong health problems. So when I was diagnosed in 2004, my doctor was upset because I refused to take the medication. I was really concerned about all the side effects. And I was determined to figure it out and balance it on my own. And the doctor basically said, it really can't be done. It's almost impossible for a person with your degree of blood sugar issues to regulate it naturally. But I was determined. And so I studied, I researched, I read countless books. And after a lot of experimentation and trial and error, I determined that by reducing my carbs drastically, I could stabilize my blood sugar issues. And my secret was eating about 10 to 20 net carbs per day, which is not very much. And it was very difficult to stay on that strict diet. And later, I just started to struggle with fatigue and mood swings and irritability and headaches. And I realized I just didn't have the right proportion of nutrients that my body needed. And it really started to affect my health. And it wasn't sustainable. And it just started to exacerbate all of my other pre-existing health problems. So I started my doTERRA wellness journey in November 2015. And at that time, with all of my different health conditions, I was taking about 13 medications. I met Aisha, and with her loving guidance and expert direction, I learned about the power of essential oils and the importance of taking bioavailable supplementation. And so I progressively improved. Over the course of about 6 to 8 months, I was able to get off 12 of my medications. And I was just so astonished by the results I was getting. So I began to experiment with different oils. I did a lot of research on the various properties of oils. And I learned that I had this vast array of tools at my disposal to help me regulate my sugar naturally. And today I want to just share a little bit about my protocol, some of my favorite oils, and some of the recipes that I use. Now, remember, I'm not a doctor, and you always want to consult your physician before starting this type of alternative therapy. And a quick word of caution that if you are taking blood sugar medication and you start to eat low carb and you're using essential oils, you're going to get drastic results that can lower your blood too much. So that's why I recommend working with your doctor or another healthcare practitioner and making sure that you are always checking your blood levels regularly. So use your glucometer if you start to implement some of these protocols. So blood regulation, it's a very multifaceted, complex topic. And with our limited time today, I can't go into too much detail, but I do want to give you just a brief overview of the different things that have helped me throughout the years. And I want to explain the importance of supporting two very vital organs. When we are struggling with blood sugar, people usually focus on their pancreas. But we also want to look at the function of the liver, because liver controls your blood sugar when you're not eating. So when you're fasting, when you're sleeping, that's when it's pulling sugar from the storage and into your blood. And when you have a liver that's desensitized, whether it's because you have too much sugar or you have high cortisol levels, or maybe you have a fatty liver, then it's not going to work efficiently. And this can contribute to some of those health blood sugar regulation issues. Now with the pancreas though, that's going to control your blood sugar when you are eating. And so it makes insulin and it gets that sugar out of the blood. But when your pancreas is having trouble, then it's not going to efficiently stabilize your blood levels. And it's going to not get enough of that glucose from the food into your cells, and that can result in glucose spikes. So for this reason, later on, I'll be sharing a couple of roller balls to support each of these organs. I use about 14 to 16 oils on a fairly consistent basis that support not only my blood sugar, but also my liver and my pancreas. And all of those are going to be listed in the show notes. However, I just want to highlight two of my favorite that I use every single day. We were talking about this oil earlier, which is Slim and Sassy. And this is a blend that has various citrus oils and peppermint, but it also includes ginger. And ginger helps prevent blood from spiking, and it also aids when you have a fatty liver. And it includes cinnamon, which aids in managing your glucose levels by promoting a healthy insulin response. Plus, it strengthens your circulatory system and your immune system. And I even use cinnamon by itself, the individual oil. I'll add a couple of drops to my morning decaf, or I'll make a tea from it. But the Slim and Sassy blend will help even reduce sugar cravings and keep that spike from occurring. So I normally take about 3 to 5 drops or one soft gel about 2 to 3 times a day. So that's my first oil that I wanted to highlight. The second one is DDR Prime. This supports your nerves and your glands, and it's also very high in antioxidants. Plus, it promotes cellular health. Now, people with diabetes have a higher level of oxidative stress. So it's particularly important that we get support in this area, and DDR Prime does that for us. Now, I'm going to go into my protocol, and it is extensive. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed. It can seem like it's a lot, but just remember, blood sugar dysregulation is a serious condition. It's a chronic issue and it requires constant vigilance. So we need to attack it from different angles. So my protocol has saved me a ton of money from regular doctor visits. I mean, don't get me wrong, I go to the doctor, I get my lab works, but it's only when needed. And in addition, I've saved so much money on my monthly prescription costs. But above all, what it has saved me from is having the complications that often are associated when you have this chronic issue. So my doctors are always surprised with my lab results because they're always within that normal range. And they even wonder if I'm really a diabetic. Every time I go for my blood work, they're very impressed and they just tell me, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're doing great. You're doing awesome. And this is the feedback I get on a consistent basis. So first, let me go over some of the foundational supplements that I take on a regular basis that I feel are my baseline wellness protocols. And the number one is our Lifelong Vitality Pack, which I love. I cannot live without my vitamins. And I take them twice a day. And so these are doTERRA's bioavailable whole food supplements. And remember, I mentioned I was having some nutritional deficiencies. Well, this has made a significant difference to balance all of that out. It's given me energy, it helps my mood, it reduces inflammation, and it fills that gap that occurs when you have a specialized diet like I have. So in addition to my vitamins, I take my enzyme to help me assimilate and break down the foods that I do eat. I take my probiotic, the PB Assist, which helps with my digestion, my mood, my immunity. And for my natural energy and mitochondrial function, I'll take Mito 2 Max. When I'm not that hungry or I just need a quick little meal, I'll do a doTERRA protein shake along with some greens to get that extra boost of nutrients. So in addition to those fundamental supplements, I also focus on supporting my stress levels. There was a study that was done on PubMed, and it was showing that when we have a glucose spike due to stress, diabetics cannot metabolize this hormone very well. They don't metabolize it properly. So the regulation of the stress hormone, it can be abnormal in a diabetic. And so for that reason, I like to pay special attention to keeping my cortisol levels down, to managing my stress. And because of my traumatic past, I'm more sensitive to being triggered by the stress. So I have to be extra cautious. But there are so many excellent options in this area that doTERRA offers. And some of my go-tos are the adaptive system. I also take frankincense and copaiba several times a day under my tongue. I use balance on my feet in the morning and at night. And then during the day, I'm always diffusing. My favorite are florals or tree oils. Now, remember, when we inhale essential oils, when we do aromatherapy, it activates our limbic system. And this is responsible for our emotions, our memory, and many of our autonomic functions like breathing and respiratory rate and blood pressure. So that's why I love supporting myself with all of the different doTERRA tools and resources available because they really, really work well. Now, in addition, you have to consider some lifestyle factors that can help you manage your blood sugars. I follow a healthy keto diet and I keep my carbs fairly low, usually between 20 to 40 grams a day. I also do intermittent fasting. I try to walk 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And I also use apple cider vinegar with water before bed because I tend to have higher sugar in the morning, and that helps stabilize that as well. And I work really hard at sleeping because most of my life I've had sleep issues. But I find that if I maintain my stress levels during the day, I sleep better at night. And I use the Serenity soft gels and oil. I'll use some vetiver or some copaiba, and that ensures me 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, I want to look at some of my recipes for blood sugar regulation as we conclude. Feel free to take some screenshots. And for those of you that are tuning in on the podcast, remember that these are going to be available in the show notes. So the first one is 2 options. Remember, every body is different, and that's why I like to give you different options. I sometimes do really well just taking the Slim and Sassy, but if I get off my diet for some reason, if I'm very stressed out because something happened, or if I'm sick, I have a cold, then sometimes I need additional support. So here are 2 different options that you can try in a veggie capsule. And again, you might have to play a little bit around with the recipe to see what works for you. And so I will take this internally every single day, sometimes a couple of times a day. And for the next slide, I'm going to show you some of the roller balls that I use. So I use a roller ball every morning as soon as I get up. Takes me a couple of seconds. And here you have 3 different recipes that you can try. And I apply it to the arches of my feet as well as my abdomen. And all of the details for those of you listening again are going to be in a PDF that we'll be sending out later. And finally, to conclude, I also use roller balls to support my pancreas and my liver. For the pancreas, this roller ball, I apply it over my pancreas and on the bottom of my left foot. Twice a day, I focus on the arch because that's the pancreatic reflex point. And for the liver, I'll just apply it over my liver and the bottom of my right foot twice a day, focusing on the liver reflex point. So I hope that some of these tips help you and that you're encouraged to give them a try. And I thank all of you, Aisha and Erin and our docs, for inviting me to share this with you today.
Lisa, thank you so much. That was amazing. And I do want to remind everybody that she has a very extensive PDF that will be included in the show notes for all of you to reference. So her protocol, her recipes, all of the information. So I'm going to pass the call over to Erin, it looks like, and then we'll be hearing also from Dr. Josie.
Thank you so much, Elisa. That was amazing. I'm really excited to try everything you're talking about. I'm drinking apple cider vinegar right now, but I'm going to add it to my nighttime routine. I just wanted to come in and just make sure everybody understands how to get those beautiful protocols that she shared. If you're listening to the podcast, you didn't see the recipes. She's giving tons of recipes. So the way to get them is you have to be on our newsletter. They will not be in the show notes, actually. They are not in the show notes. I just want to repeat that. You need to get the newsletter. So if you go to hellovisionary.life, it'll pop up with an invitation to get on the newsletter. We send out an email Wednesday afternoon-ish with the protocols. It'll have the PDF. It'll have all of the stuff in there. So I just want to make sure everybody gets those recipes that wants them because they are invaluable. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Erin, for that clarification. So Dr. Josie, let's hear from you.
Oh, you know, I was texting with Dr. Louise and I was like, do you have something to say? And I was like, she's like, no, she nailed it. I was like, I don't have anything to say. And Eliza said so much. I think you said it very quickly as well. And it was incredible information. And we just love to hear other voices who are so inspiring and so well informed. So I think I might want to throw it out for us to start having a conversation, and we can be all talking together about what everyone just heard, because it was a lot of information to take in about supporting something that is so important. Maybe I will just say something in that it's so inspiring, Elisa, to hear all that you do and all that we can do. And this together with your motivation and your work with your diet, how you're working with your sleep and working with all of your emotional balances through the day to work with your cortisol and your stress, and then bringing in all of these different tools and resources. I don't know if you want to speak about that. I always find that incredibly helpful for people to hear about what is it really like to be doing all, like, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming, all of this all day long. What is that like? What does that feel like? And is it easy and fun? Because that's one of the things I teach, is that what made me fall in love with this form of plant medicine, with essential oils, is how fun it is and easy it is to just do a little bit here and a little bit there in this way or that way, right? Aromatic, topical, and internal. And then you're at the end of your day and you've just been kind of using them all throughout the day. Has that been true for you? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, from the time I wake up, I have my roller balls. I have a set on my desk and I have a set upstairs, just to make it convenient and as that visual reminder. And I find that when I first started, I did find it overwhelming, but also when I started, I wasn't doing everything I'm doing now, because it's a gradual process of learning and trying different things to see what works and what doesn't. And now it's just second nature. I love it because I feel so different than I did 6-7 years ago before I was introduced to doTERRA. That was miserable. And I had to remember my pills, and I had pill box, and I had alarms, and then I had the side effects. And I was still sick. I mean, I was still miserable, even though I was doing all this. So why not do it with something natural that doesn't have the side effects, that works for me and has become just part of my lifestyle? And I believe it's worth it because now I have the quality of life. And it doesn't take long. It takes me 2 minutes in the morning, couple of minutes during the day, couple of minutes before bed. And as you're doing it throughout the day in these tiny little increments, it just becomes part of your life, like eating or going for a walk. It just becomes your lifestyle.
Elisa,
I love that.
Questions coming in the chat. One is how multiple people are asking, how many Mito2 Max do you take a day?
Depends on how I'm feeling. Now I take one twice a day, but when I'm not feeling well, for some reason, I've pushed myself too hard and I'm feeling a little bit of that adrenal fatigue, then I'll take 2 twice a day for a couple of days until I get that balance back, and then I just reduce it. But I find that it just depends on your body.
And for anyone listening that is unfamiliar with these products we're talking about, Mito2 Max is a cellular vitality blend made of cordyceps, which are mushrooms, and other elements. Anything, Josie, that you would add about Mito2 Max for someone who's unfamiliar with that supplement?
Yeah, it's a cellular energy. It's also adrenal support. So the adrenals are the organs in our body that produce and create cortisol and our stress response hormone like cortisol. So we really want to support that. We want to support the insides of our cells, the energy centers, and our adrenals. And so it has 3 different formulas in it, and some are great herbal supports like cordyceps and ashwagandha, but then there are also nutritionals in it as well that are really helping to support the blood sugar and the greater workings of the adrenals. I also love this supplement, and I take it same way, Elisa, in that sense of sometimes I take 1 a day, sometimes I take 2 a day, sometimes I kind of work with it at this point in depending on what's going on in my life.
And I will note, just so it doesn't surprise you and you don't quit taking it, sometimes people get more tired before they balance out on the Mito 2 Max. Does anyone
Oh.
else experience that? I've had a few customers, myself included, Peggy's raising her hand, that almost there's maybe if you're used to having this adrenal flood all the time, the Mito 2 Max comes in and balances you out. So there might be a moment where you're like, wait a minute, this is supposed to give me energy and I'm tired. Wait it out because you're rebalancing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, Erin. That's a common reaction. That happens when people will get a aromatouch treatment or symphony of the cells. When you are in a chronic high stress state and your normal is producing and living at a state of high stress and high cortisol, when you get a massage or you take a pill like the Mitomax, which is kind of like massage in a pill. Ooh, we should, there you go. That's a good one. Or an essential oil treatment. What those things are doing is helping to bring your whole nervous system, including your cortisol, but your whole sympathetic nervous system down into balance. And when you've been at a high state of stressing out, that feels weird because you're not used to it. So stress can feel like adrenaline, can feel like a drug, and it's like coffee. You can kind of want that. And when you when you drop down into what is actually balance, it can feel uncomfortable at first, like you're tired. And it does take an equalizing time to get your nervous system used to not being at that high state that is false. So that's great. I hadn't thought about that with taking Mito 2 Max.
Yeah, maybe that's a great subject for a podcast one day. We can kind of talk about the healing process and things that might start to happen. Like my husband started Slim and Sassy and he had a digestive release, we'll say. But then after that cleanse, his hay fever went away. So it's good to know that you start taking some of these supplements and these oils and you might go through something. Okay, we have more questions. Would you like to answer some more? This is great.
Yes.
Peggy is wondering if you use the roller balls every day, but the capsule only when needed. So when do you use the capsule versus the roller ball recipes?
It depends on your body again, and it depends on where your sugars are at. So there are times where my diet is just right spot on and I can just get away with having Slim and Sassy during the day. I always do the liver and the pancreatic support roller balls, but sometimes I don't do the extra veggie cap. I don't do the abdominal roller ball because the first thing I do when I wake up is I check my blood sugar levels, and that determines how to proceed, like what I'm going to eat. Do I have to go to a walk first before I have breakfast to bring that sugar down? Remember, I have to be super careful because I don't have a backup plan. I don't have meds. I don't have anything to fall back on. So I need to be very vigilant as to what I eat, if I exercise, my stress levels. And so it's just going to vary. I wanted to give you various tools so that you can see what works for you. If you find that you are on the higher level of your glucose, then you might start off with everything, right? You might start off with Slim and Sassy. And what I did when I first started was I checked my blood sugar before. I would take my oils and then I'd wait maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I take my blood sugar again. And then through that process of trial and error, I was able to find the right dose for me. And so now it's, like I said, second nature. I'm this number, I'll do this. I'm this number, I'll do that, because that's what works for my body, but it may not be what works for yours.
Great clarification. So we have Samantha with her hand raised. Would you like to unmute, Samantha, and come on to say something? Okay, maybe she stepped away.
All right.
Are
I
you there?
can, while we wait for Samantha, I'd like to add something. This is Dr. Josie again. We're speaking here about blood sugar regulation, and I think it would be great to go into a conversation about low blood sugar in a moment, and what that's like. And it is powerfully damaging. And a lot of people don't know that we know the damages of high blood sugar and where that goes. And we hear a lot about that, but low blood sugar on a consistent level is also has deleterious bad effects for us in the long run. And I know Aisha loves to talk about this as well. So I want to open up that conversation for people. But before we do, I do want to do a shout out to, so we've been talking about type 2 diabetes, but for a moment to type 1 diabetes. And so type 1 diabetes is where there has been an autoimmune condition where the pancreas has gotten so damaged that the person actually is not producing. There's a period, less and less and less, and then to a point where hardly any or none, not of insulin. And we had someone on our team who actually had type 1 diabetes, and it taught me a lot about doTERRA and the products, because I was quite hesitant to kind of suggest that they use the products. Sorry, I'm looking at these, and they just went off and started using them on their own and experimenting. And so I would like to just give a shout out to that people with type 1 have used Slim & Sassy really, really successfully in blood sugar crashes. Diabetes, they use them in conjunction with their insulin and with their medications together, but also when they would go into blood sugar crashes, that happens frequently with type 1s, and it can with type 2s. And you can take Slim & Sassy under the tongue, or they even took it as a gel cap, and it would bring their blood sugars right back up from the 40s and 50s right into the clear range of 100 or 120, 10, 20. That is a really great range for people, rather than what is in Western medicine. They suggest actually taking sugar pills, which raise you up into the 200s and 300s, and then you crash again and you feel horrible afterwards. So I wanted to give a shout out to that. So I know there's people who have their hands up and want to speak. Do we have Samantha?
Yeah, let's have Samantha come on. Go ahead.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button.
No worries, Samantha. We can't wait to hear your comment.
I don't even know what it was. I think I was dropping my phone at the moment, and I just hit the screen, so I apologize.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for being on the show.
I love it. Thank you.
Carrie Tucker, did you want to go ahead and ask your question? Okay, maybe that's the same situation.
Maybe it was the same thing.
We have a question in the Q&A.
Okay.
From Sarah Pfeiffer.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're ready, Carrie? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm doing school pickup, so I keep muting and unmuting. Sorry about that. But I have a whole many questions going on in my mind about this. So I think you're getting to some of them, like using Slim & Sassy under the tongue and closely checking blood sugars with the exercise. I'm really stoked about all that I learned here today, but I'd love to hear more about how, what to expect about when you use Slim & Sassy orally or topically. Is that doable too? And what to expect afterwards, like what kind of a drop in blood sugar?
Great questions. Thank you for asking. Elisa, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, mine has ranged from 10 points to 30 points. And again, it depends on how high it is. So sometimes I'll do a combination of things where if I'm a little bit high, then I'll take my Slim & Sassy, right? Maybe I'll take 2 soft gels, which is a total of 10 drops. And then I'll go for a 10-minute walk. And so by the time I get home and I check my blood sugar again, it's dropped 30 points, 20 to 30 points, which is significant. And there are other times where I only see maybe a 5 to 8 point drop. So it depends again on where your sugars are. It depends on what you ate. It depends on your activity. And with the veggie caps, if I am high and I take my Slim and Sassy and it hasn't dropped enough, that's when I'll take an additional veggie cap with some of the recipes that I shared with you. And then I'll get an additional drop in my blood sugar. So in the beginning, as I mentioned, it will take a little bit of trial and error to figure out what works for you. But everyone's going to be different depending on where they're at and how much insulin their body's producing.
Great. I know in a moment we have Aisha wanting to share a few Slim and Sassy tips. Let's answer Sarah's question. And Sarah, did I pay you to tee me up to this? Because I would have totally forgotten, except you have asked it. Sarah is saying, how do we help people get off sugar, specifically soda? And she's reminding me that I have a no sugar soda recipe. Okay, so if anyone is a soda junkie, I personally was a Red Bull junkie. So talk about a ton of sugar, but also the caffeine. And I had blood sugars issues as well. I invented a really amazing sugar-free soda replacement using our oils. And my favorite one, of course, is Slim and Sassy, because did you know that most of the ingredients in Slim and Sassy are the same ingredients in Coca-Cola? Shocking, right? Coca-Cola is made out of essential oils, mainly clove and lemon and ginger and all that kind of stuff. So you take a little bit of stevia, that's the sweetener I like, or you could use a monk fruit, whatever your favorite alternative sweetener is. You put that in the bottom of the cup. You put in 2 drops of Slim and Sassy. Then I like a squeeze of lime. And then I fill that up with sparkling water. It's absolutely delicious. It tastes so much like soda, but it's healthy for you and it's blood sugar balancing. You can get really creative and come up with other soda recipes. You can do citrus bliss. You can do just plain old ginger. You can even make something that tastes like a gin and tonic, but it has no alcohol in it by doing juniper berry and lime oil. So the oils can be really great at helping you get off of your soda habit. Aisha, what are your Slim and Sassy tips?
Oh, I can talk about this oil all day long. Well, I do want to add, for anybody that's listening and has no idea what the Slim and Sassy even is, I don't think we've actually specified. It is a blend of ginger, cinnamon, lemon, grapefruit, and peppermint. And it is a metabolic blend. And I just wanted to give some tips on usage for all of those of you that are new to using essential oils, because you can use this oil topically, you can use it aromatically, and you can use it internally. I think Elisa's favorite way, my favorite way, and what we find to be the most effective is to actually use it internally. And it comes in the oil bottle itself, in the 15 ml oil bottle, but it also comes in a gel. So, oops. Erin, why don't you continue this for a quick pause?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to talk about it. So it does come as an oil, currently 15 ml, and it comes as a gel cap, and it comes as a gum. But in September of this year, it's 2022 at the time of this recording, many of us are going to take the annual pilgrimage to Salt Lake City, where we get to go to the doTERRA convention, learn about all the science, and get new products. And a little birdie tells me that Slim and Sassy has a makeover coming. And it's going to have a new name, and there's going to be new complementary products. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I got to get some Slim and Sassy, I will warn you, some of it sold out on the doTERRA website at the time of this recording. And when September comes, you're going to want to look for an update. So we recommend that you, if you can, come to Salt Lake City with us. If you can't, get a virtual ticket to convention, because you will be allowed to purchase the new products before anyone else can at the best price. So we could go on and on and on about Slim and Sassy. It's such an amazing formula. It's helped so many people, but do know that there's a name change coming. Did you want to add more, Aisha?
I'm so sorry. Sometimes having 2 dogs is like having children. I had to step away for a quick moment. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew about how to start with 1 to 3 drops under the tongue, working up to 25 drops per day. So did you cover that, Erin?
No,
No.
you can
Go
tell.
ahead, Aish.
Okay, great. So basically, when you're starting Slim and Sassy, you definitely want to start on the lower dose because everybody is very sensitive and you want to see how your body responds. So we recommend starting with 1 to 3 drops, and you can take that either under your tongue. You can add it to some water and drink it internally. And or if you're not so sure about taking the oils internally to begin with, you can rub that oil on the bottoms of your feet. Now, then you can work that up. So you could start with 1 to 3 drops, 2 to 3 times a day. And then ultimately, Dr. Hill, who's one of the founders of doTERRA, has recommended that you can take up to 25 drops of Slim and Sassy per day. And I've experienced personally, if you're having strong sugar or carb or even addictive kind of cravings, if you start taking Slim and Sassy at its full dose, for a few days, it took about 3 days that I actually had a complete halt in my sugar cravings. So I know now that if I start craving sugar, that's typically a sign for me that candida might be on the rise or there's an imbalance in my gut bacteria. And so if I up the use of my Slim and Sassy, that will then pretty quickly rebalance my body. And so you can play with those amounts. I don't have high blood sugar, but I suffer from low blood sugar. So when I get low blood sugar, I'll get very shaky, I'll get very anxious, and then I'll actually lose my appetite. And what is a beautiful thing about the essential oils is they help bring us to balance, right? So for me, it will help balance my blood sugar. And so it gets rid of that shaky feeling. Now, it's not meant to be a meal replacement. I just want to say that. But it will help balance your blood sugar until you can get to food. And so if it sometimes low blood sugar will affect your mood or your brain function. So it will just help bring you back to balance. So whether you're too high or too low, it's going to help bring you to balance. And that's a beautiful thing about the essential oils. It's also going to help reduce inflammation in the body. So if you're hoping to lose a few pounds, oftentimes extra weight is inflammation. So the grapefruit in particular is an oil that's going to help flush that inflammation out of your system. And then as we've talked about before, it's an overall metabolic reset. So personally, it's helped me with my sleep. It's helped me with brain fog. It helped me with my menstruation, and so again, it's going to support you in the ways that you need support. So we are really excited about what's coming in September with a kind of a larger line of products and a rebranding of this favorite oil. But I just wanted to make sure if you're new and you purchase a bottle and you get it home and you're like, okay, what do I do with this? That we're clear. It also does come in a gel cap. So if you don't want to take the oil under the tongue, you don't like the taste, you can take the gel caps. And I believe that's what Eliza takes. So I hope that was helpful. Erin, I'll pass it back over to you.
Yes, so helpful. I too find under my tongue is the best for me. Not that I won't take the capsules, but I kind of like the way it tastes. I like the way it feels. I like the psychosomatic connection between I'm craving something sweet and I take it. And Slim and Sassy really helped me get off of the Red Bull and things that were major uppers. I was taking a lot of upper narcotics and I weaned myself off all of those, the Red Bull included. I still have 1 cup of coffee a day. So I didn't give up caffeine completely, but to go from multiple Red Bulls a day and other substances down to 1 cup of coffee is pretty incredible. And the Slim and Sassy was really a big part of that. So if you can't tell, we love Slim and Sassy.
Erin,
Yeah.
There's just one last question I think is really important to address, and I can address that really quickly. Ray is asking, people on cholesterol meds frequently asked about grapefruit oil. what's an easy response? And what I want to say to that is that if you're on meds, the grapefruit oil and the grapefruit, the constituents in the oil, or excuse me, in the fruit and in the oil, which is coming from the rind, is very different. And that Dr. Josie can back me up on this, that it is actually safe to take the essential oil, whereas you're not going to want to drink a glass of grapefruit juice.
Yes, succinctly, it's different constituents from different parts of the grapefruit. And so it is not a problem if you are on cholesterol medication. And I just want to be clear on that range within blood glucose and glucose dysregulation, that there can be the dysregulation going into that you have too high, that you're not getting the glucose out of the bloodstream into the cells where it needs to be, and that's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And then there's dysregulation where we see that connection with the adrenals and overstress and high stress, which leads to both. But in the low blood sugars, an overtaxed adrenal system, you'll sometimes see a lot of low blood sugar response and drop. And both of those are addressed with this protocol. And amazingly, we've been highlighting mostly this blend, this metabolic blend. And it's because it's the way essential oils work in our body. And they, as I said in a post I think I did today, they are not reductive. So it's not that they work in one action because they are an isolated constituent. They are full embodied plant medicines with their full chemistry, and they help each individual body work into its balance from its imbalanced state. And they have such a broad range of chemistry that they can do this.
So this is Erin, and we have a really important question that has come up. So anyone that wants to answer it is welcome to. Isn't Slim and Sassy just for losing weight?
No, that's it. We don't like the name Slim and Sassy, a lot of us. It's kind of a bad name, and so they're changing the name. So I usually just call it the metabolic blend. So if you were introduced to it in that way, you might think that it does more things, right? So they are changing the name because we've realized that it does so much more in our bodies than just help some people lose weight. It does help some people whose bodies would like to, their natural state is to lose some weight, and that is healthy for them as they're doing other things, especially combining it with moderate movement and diet shifts and the addition of the lifelong vitality pack. We've seen dramatic weight loss for many people. But as someone else said in the beginning of the call, people who are underweight and don't have a very good appetite, it actually helps them improve their appetite and gain weight. So it truly is a metabolic balancing blend.
Dr. Josie, I just want to bullet point really quick. It's helped me with sleep. I had insomnia for 3 years, and it helped me start sleeping. It's helped with mental clarity and focus and brain fog. It's helped reduce sugar cravings, and it's helped me with hormonal balance. So that's why I continue to take it. And it also is great energy boost. I like to take it before I work out in the morning or at any point.
Yeah, I mean, here's a little, I'm just going to throw this out. We're not going to talk that much about it, but one of the reasons that I did all that with Aisha is because she was working with Lyme, and it really helped with the biofilm situation. So if you're someone who has a chronic condition and you're working with biofilm with that chronic condition, this is an oil you want to bring into your everyday life. And let's end with that. That'll keep people hanging for our next call.
Yay, yes, I know. There's so many great calls that we need to do. So this is Erin Fugate, and it is my job to wrap it up for everyone. I first want to say thank you to Eliza Boné for sharing your story of hope and healing and giving us all of your recipes. Thank you to everyone who shared, especially Dr. Josie and all our visionary leader doctors and practitioners. This community is incredible. Remember, if you would like the protocols that we mentioned in this podcast, go to hellovisionary.life. That is our website. You can sign up for the newsletter, and we send out an email every Wednesday with the protocols and what the call will be next week. We also have years and years and years of webinars. We try to pull out a few webinars and we put them in the email in case you want to deep dive into these subjects, but you can also go use the search function and look around our website for other education. Now, we realize that there are probably people here that are brand new to essential oils. So we want to make sure that we've touched on some of the basics, which I definitely think that we have, but I'm just going to highlight a few things. There are 3 cool things about essential oils. As we've mentioned, they're safe. How incredible that you can still use the power of grapefruit, even if you have concerns with the medication that you're on, because you have it in the form of an essential oil. They're effective. Look at what Eliza has been able to do for her health. It's so amazing. We didn't talk about this, but they're affordable. Imagine the money that you can save by getting off. How many did she say was on? 13 medications. You'll have to tell us, Eliza, one day, like what the price difference is there, because I bet it's big. You probably have noticed that we talk about 3 ways to use them. You can use them topically. So in the case of Slim and Sassy, you can actually massage it over your belly or your hips, your thighs, areas where you would like to slim down and release stored fat. Of course, we talked a lot about internal. That's going to be for your digestive system, your glucose levels, if you're wanting to get it through your liver and your kidneys, or just for flavor, like the case of the soda. Aromatic, you can put it in your diffuser or you can smell it. Slim and Sassy smells great. Put it in your diffuser. It's very uplifting and invigorating. Now, we haven't talked a lot about doTERRA and why so many of us love purchasing these essential oils and supplements from doTERRA. For me, I think it's 3 reasons. First of all, they're dedicated to purity and potency. The oils are going to work and they're going to be safe, which is really important because a lot of the essential oils sold on the marketplace aren't even pure plant material and they could actually be harmful, possibly not even work. doTERRA is dedicated to sustainability, meaning they take care of the people who grow and farm and forage the plants that make our oils. It's a really beautiful ecosystem, and I invite you to deep dive into their co-impact sourcing initiatives. Plus, the owners of doTERRA are dedicated to leadership, and they want all of us that are sharing doTERRA to be debt-free and making an income so that we can give back to our communities. If you are inspired to find more balance with your glucose levels, then you are going to be really excited about these products being released at the annual convention. We have decided to put together a Facebook group where those of us that go to convention or we go to the virtual convention and we're purchasing the new products, we're going to come together in this Facebook group and we're going to take the products and document our results. So things like we're going to take before and after pictures, we're going to get our blood work done, we're going to just notice our energy levels, our sleep, and we're going to document all of that so we can share our results with our greater community come January. If you want to be a part of this group, we would recommend that you first get started with the Healthy Habits Protocol. That's the daily wellness routine that includes our lifelong vitality supplements that Eliza spoke about and incorporating a few essential oils into your daily habits. That's really going to get your body ready to bring in these new products. Next, you would set up your loyalty rewards order so that you can replenish your supplements and your oils and get all the perks that come with that. You would also want to purchase your ticket to convention. Again, many of us on here, wave your hand if you're going to convention in Salt Lake City. Yay, so you can come see us and be with us. But if you're not ready to travel, you can do it online and watch from your computer. When you buy the ticket, that gives you the ability to purchase the convention kit, which gives you a first look at the new products for the best price. Finally, come find our Facebook group. It's called the Visionary Leaders Metabolic Reset, or ask the person who invited you to get you set up with that. We can't wait to see the results. We're all going to have such incredible transformation. I just know it. and I can't wait to see what we all do together. We're hearing that people are balancing out their weight, they're having better energy levels, they're having less pain, it's improving their cognition, and it's improving their sleep. So you can reach out to the person who invited you to listen to this podcast, or of course, reach out to one of us for support. We have all of our contact information in the show notes. This is going to be really good next week. August is a good lineup. So next Monday at 5 p.m., we record these almost every Monday. We're talking about thyroid balance, specifically hypothyroid. So who do you know that struggles with this? I invite you to write down their name right now. Pull out your phone and text them right now. Give them the information for this call so they can either be on live or listen to the recording. And this actually brings me to a really important perk of your doTERRA membership. Did you know that if you share your love of oils with friends and family, doTERRA is going to give you a commission check? You can earn money to use to pay for your oils or to add to your vacation fund. Just make sure you choose Become a Wellness Advocate when you start your account. We have a very simple video on the homepage of our website, hellovisionary.life, and it will teach you how to help your friends get their starter kits in the right way so you can get that bonus check. We love learning and growing with all of you. May you experience deep wellness, sustained peace as you bring the oils into your home. Thanks again to everyone who contributed, and we cannot wait to see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elisa.
Thank you all.